hitting the surface, you know, like a little bit more, just hitting the surface. So, and you see that with the sand, you know how it goes green? Because you've got the sand underneath it. To me, nature knows what it's doing. So then the deeper you get, as you go down, you know, it's going to get darker. You know what I mean? Get darker, and it will end up black, where the Titanic is. So to me, they're your warm colours. You know, Charles Reed says cerulean's cool, but I just don't agree with that. So let's do the terracotta pot. There's a nice terracotta colour there.
It was actually funny, Di, with the palettes that I found, because all the colours are still, they're in exactly the same places where I've still got them now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I opened them up and went,
And you know, I find when I pick someone else's palette up and they're all over the shop, I just can't do it. My head's like,
and that's what I
there's
laughed
my
at. It's so
terracotta pot.
automatic for so many years. You've just had those colours
Yeah.
in the spot, and
right.
even putting your palette the right way up.
yep.
If I
That's
pull
right.
out my palette, I have
Yeah,
to
that's
turn
right,
it around so that.
And you
it's-
loosen up, but you can paint more loosely when your palette's set up
so
really
funny.
well. Now I need to get a violety colour
Yeah.
happening, because the
It's just
violet is the
automatic.
complement. Beautiful colour.
That is such a scrummy colour.
gorgeous.
So there's the complement of. So there's your terracotta pot that has. And also it's making the terracotta pot look more rounded. It's got a little bit of. So look how I can make this. I'll do the fruit for you. That's all. So see, it's got life to it. So if I was putting flowers in that pot, I would have to make sure there's my warm colour, that I'm going to use yummy warm greens over this side. And then as it's getting towards the darks, they start being cool greens. Right? Take care of that, Rumsey. So see, I'm being conscious of warming and cooling it up the whole time. Yeah. So if we have red flowers there, okay, the base red is going to be in the middle, lined up with the base colour of the terracotta pot. Then we'll add a little bit of the warmth to that red, so pull it out, there's the warmth happening. And then to cool it down, I just need a little bit of even that maroony colours are good. But you see, you get everything then glowing, you know, with the warmth and the cool of it.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And the drippy
I
drippy.
just like the way it gives the shape to the
Yeah.
pot.
Yeah.
that Would normally, if you just paint it the one, it just looks flat.
Yeah, it's given it the
Just gives
3D,
Mm.
it's given it the warmth and the cool, and I think a good exercise, don't you, would be to do the terracotta pot and just try and throw some flowers in and warm them up and cool them down, rather than
It
doing
was
that.
it was one exercise we did. That
Always,
was,
yeah.
yeah.
I actually
really-
framed the one we did in class.
Did
It's
you?
above my toilet.
Really?
It's the best terracotta pot I've ever done.
Oh.
And we did the salt.
Why is it?
That's right, to make it look really...
mossy and like
nice,
the terracotta pots get that
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
aged
it was a
look.
great.
So see how I've got all the cool happening here? So I'm really going back in and cooling down all these colours, and it's quite nice. Often when you get shadow, you get the shadow running up anyway into that. You know, when something's in shadow, you don't see clear outlines of anything. But the other thing that's lovely is the little fruit exercise, and I learnt this from Mr. Charles. I was playing that video the other day, the flower one. I might do it next week. It's fabulous, because that's the one where he gives away all his secrets as to how he does his brush strokes and how he does that. Yeah, it was great. So let's do an orange.
Remember when I did the classes with the lady in the Philippines, and she showed us to paint an egg.
Yep,
And
yep,
she said
yep.
if you can paint an egg by using like your warm and your cool to give it the shape, you can paint anything with shape.
Yep,
Just
yep,
that
yep.
technique.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And follow it. Just, I mean, like that. Yeah.
White is the ultimate warmth. You know, white light. So if there was, if I was making that bigger. But this was Charles's little trick for shadows. What I'm going to do is I've got excess paint sitting there, I'm going to pull that out, and he would just drop in, he'd drop his little bit of cerulean blue in and not mix it. He would just drop it in and just leave it, and then he would then warm up, you know, the it was so good watching that. See how that looks like it's just glowing, that little shadow.
Gorgeous.
Just a little touch of...
Yeah, watching that video last week was so good, you know, watching the way he did that. So if it was a plum, with the plum I would use, and learning to sort of mix your stuff on the paper is good too.
I think when you see his stuff too, there's no Payne's Grey involved.
Oh God, no. Oh no.
It's just, yeah.
They should just change the name of it.
Payne's Grey. It's terrible.
It's disgusting.
Oh,
You see a lot of English artists do, and I wonder it's because they do have quite dull,
Yeah.
the climate. Yeah.
you know,
Come
maybe.
back here and you think, oh my God, everything's so bright.
Yeah. No
But
wonder we need
I think
sunglasses.
the old traditional watercolours were all those.
Oh, I can tell you the
palette.
20 though, olive
Yeah.
green,
When you look at the Dutch painters,
indigo. Now watch me warm this up. This shadow is coming away from it, and it needs to warm up. See how that's given that the sunlight?
Amazing.
Little bit of fruit, little stalk. So I learned, that was great learning that from Charles Reed, and learning to mix. You watched me see I mix on the paper too, and let things sort of run in. And I was thinking too, June, like, we never stop learning, but you know, the other day, you know, doing the Shirley Trevena, for anyone that paints fairly, want to loosen up your work, even though you want to paint really slowly, I thought that dropping in and making watermarks was great.
Yes.
So if you do that, it means you can paint really slowly and with your detail and do as many brush strokes as you like, but then don't be afraid to put in a little watermark.
Which just loosens.
It just loosens it. See, I get a big one there, which I don't particularly want, but look, I can warm that shadow up again. I'm going to pull that in and just bring it out. See how I've got that beautiful glow? So that's really good, doing a series of fruit and pulling it down, and yeah. They've just got life to them, whereas most people just put Payne's Grey, you know. And shadow, okay, let's talk greys and whites. Can I have some spare paper? So we'll do that exercise too. Shadows are, if I had just done a big painting, which I have, and I wanted something white, you look at all these colours here, I can get so many shadows from using everything that is already mixed on my palette. So I don't I never do a white vase or anything first. I wait till everything else is painted, and they're the colours. You see, that would be the grey value or the white. If it's a white vase, you have to leave because it's white, I must have some white there. If it was a red vase,